Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 7 of What If Naruto Was the Red X. If you guys enjoyed this What If and want to see part 8 of it, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other What Ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Titan's Tower. Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Starfire all conversed with one another in the kitchen table, each one looking to the other. They sat in conference, over a most distressing subject indeed. Man, why is it we're throwing Robin a birthday party again? I mean, last year was a total bust. Cyborg said quietly, and Starfire answered for him. Because, friend Robin is our friend and our leader. He does much work and tries very hard to keep us all safe. And we should honor his day of birth as we do for each other. Star said confidently, and Cyborg frowned, before nodding his head and looking over to Beast Boy, who was trying to think. You okay, little dude? Cyborg questioned, and Beast Boy blinked. Yeah. Beast Boy said sheepishly before rubbing the back of his neck. Guys, I know we kinda throw a big bash for Rob all the time here at the tower, but what he really needs, if you ask me, is to get out more. Beast Boy said, and Cyborg blinked, then looked to Star, who suddenly started grinning widely. You mean we could have the large earthly parties in the large places? Glorious. I shall make the crown of meat for Robin immediately. She asked, then said excitedly, and Cyborg rubbed his chin. It cost a lot to rent a place for something like that, but if it was like a gift from all of them, it'd be worth it to get Robin off his workaholic kick for at least his birthday. Beast Boy, that might actually be the smartest thing you've ever said or suggested in your life. Cyborg praised, and Beast Boy grinned, before then blinking and gaping at him. Hey, he called out indignantly, and Cyborg chuckled to himself, before looking to Starfire and Beast Boy with a serious expression. Alright, how do we get people to come to this big blowout then? And where exactly do you plan on holding it? Cyborg questioned with his arms crossed, and both Star and Beast Boy tried to think of some place that they knew that they could get in touch with, and would have a decent enough crowd for a party anyways. Hey, why not Piano Pizza? It's always a hotspot for high school kids around our age and such. They even have that old DJ stuff, and a karaoke set still around inside the main building, and they used to be a party place for teens. Maybe we could get the owners to throw a bash for Robin. Beast Boy offered, and Star grinned, while Cyborg nodded his head slowly with a thoughtful expression. We have saved that place a lot, and the owner is really friendly. Cyborg said thoughtfully, before frowning to himself. Well, that solves that problem. Next problem. He said, and Beast Boy groaned, Star looking to him confused. Raven, whenever we go out to parties, she's always by herself. Now who here wants Raven to be lonely while the rest of us are out jamming? Cyborg questioned, and both Star and Beast Boy's faces fell. If only friend Raven had a friend of her own to speak with at the parties, then perhaps she would not be so lonely. Star said mostly to herself, when Beast Boy's eyes lit up and a grin crossed over his face. Cyborg, what about that blonde guy she was hanging out with a couple days ago? Beast Boy said, and Cyborg blinked once, and then raised his flesh and blood brow to the green furry gesture. What about him? Cyborg questioned, and Beast Boy began to rub his hands together with an evil chuckle. Think about it, Cyborg. If he was her boyfriend, maybe we could get him to come and keep Ray company. Beast Boy said, and Cyborg blinked, then slowly a smirk formed on his own lips as he leaned back in his seat. Yeah, and even if he was only a friend, he could still keep Raven company. Beast Boy, you're on a roll today. Cyborg said to his green-furred friend, and Beast Boy smiled with his arms crossed over his chest. Meaning you get to be the one to go out and find him, while me and Star set up the party of the century in Robin's honor. Cyborg stated, then called out, while Starfire happily giggled, and Beast Boy slammed his head into the table repeatedly, wondering why he even bothered to mention that guy. He didn't want to be the one to face one of Raven's friends alone. Streets of Jump City. Naruto was currently roaming the shelves in a local corner. It was a record store that he had found only a few days ago when he got bored, and Gizmo was still working on a training room for him. So far, he had built up a modest collection of CDs by using his stolen cash from the string of robberies he pulled prior to being found out as Red X by the Teen Titans. He was currently looking at the cover to a new album called Chinese Democracy. Guns N' Roses, huh? Personally, I like their old stuff better. A slightly familiar voice right next to him says. Naruto turns his head to his left, a stick of dark chocolate pocky sticking out of his mouth, and who should he see but none other than the Green Titan himself, Beast Boy. Yeah, they're pretty good, Naruto says, while placing the CD back on the shelf before reaching for a Metallica album instead. Is there anything you need? Or were you just here to bug me? He asks, not looking back at the green furry shapeshifter. Hearing this, Beast Boy temporarily scratches his head for a few seconds, before snapping his fingers in recollection and asking a question. Are you and Raven really dating? He asks the blonde, hoping he won't get hit for the rather candid question. He is rather surprised though when Naruto reaches into the pocket of the new dark brown flak jacket he'd gotten recently and pulled out a box of Pocky, offering him a stick. Thanks. The green kid says, while quietly taking the offered pastry. Did Raven say we were something? Naruto asks, fixing Beast Boy with a cool-eyed look to ensure he wouldn't lie. Beast Boy himself starts to sweat a little, realizing that if this guy can talk to the dark girl and not be scared, then what else can he do? Suddenly the green jester finds himself with a dry throat of thoughts of somehow being sent to a nightmare world from whence there is no escape came to mind. No? She actually said she was just asking you a few questions. Beast Boy says demurely while taking a bite of the Pocky, so his mouth wouldn't say something he doesn't want it to, as seemed to happen at the worst of times. She was telling the truth then. Now, calm down, I'm not going to bite your head off for something. The blonde tells him, smiling a small bit and betting that was what he was thinking. Upon hearing this, Beast Boy stops sweating, and actually smiles towards the older blonde-haired teen. This Naruto, at least Raven told them that was his name, after much coaxing and prodding of course, seemed to be pretty cool. So, is that all you wanted to ask, or is there something else? Naruto then asks, while putting the CD back and deciding on getting a copy of Appetite for Destruction. Well, I don't know if I should be asking you this, but, well, you see the thing is Robin's birthday is in a few days, and we're all going to this place to throw him a party. Whenever we go to places like that, Raven just sits alone in a corner or something. Well, Cyborg, Star and I were wondering if you'd like to come, and like meet the rest of the team, and maybe get Raid to have some fun for once seeing as you like being around her or something. We do it, but we normally go off and do our own things at parties. Beast Boy finishes, taking the final bite from his stick of Pocky. Beast Boy looks at Naruto, expecting a reproachful look or a flat-out no from one of Raven's friends. He is surprised however to see the blonde scratching the bridge of his nose in a thoughtful manner. Alright, I'll go. Just please don't track me down again, alright. Makes me feel like I'm back at home. Naruto tells the green-skinned teen, while shuddering as he remembers the few times people would track him down, usually for something painful. Where is this party anyways? Naruto questioned and Beast Boy let out a sigh of relief, before giving a grin to the older teen. Piano Pizza. Meet us there in 3 days at 9. He said happily, and Naruto frowned, before nodding his head seeing as that was the pizza joint that the Titans frequented after all. Walking to the register and paying for the CD and leaving Beast Boy standing there with a very dazed look on his face. Shaking out of it after a few seconds, the green jester scratches the back of his head and leaves as well, a single thought running through his head. Man, either Raven's going to be very happy for this, or very pissed off at us for this, then again she might be both. The green teen thought, while inwardly pleading for the former over the latter. With Naruto. Well, that was a bit of a surprise. The blonde Jinchuriki says to himself while walking down the street with his hat shadowing his eyes. Besides, hanging out with the kids can't be that bad. I mean, Raven is pretty interesting to talk to. Starfire isn't as ditzy as I thought she was. Naive yes, ditzy no. And hell, Beast Boy seems like he has good taste in music. Naruto thinks to himself then looks around as he hears an eerily familiar sound, the sound of flesh hitting wood at a velocity not usually coming from mortal man. Looking around for the sound, Naruto eventually finds himself standing before a dojo of all things, a lot like the one that Lee had set up back home, after he had saved up some money. Of course I helped him, he said he'd pay me back, but it wasn't a hassle to help Lee, he's always been a real friend after all. The blonde teen thinks to himself, while looking over the building with a slight interest. It is a small, square building made completely from wood, with a window at the front curtained off, a sign just above the entrance saying Lair of the Dragon. What's even weirder is that Naruto has somehow found himself in Chinatown. A section of Jump City with most architecture based off of Chinese buildings, and a high concentration of Asians due to it. Curious despite being a master of his very own personal style of taijutsu, he walks to the large double doors, and slides them open. Inside, he finds a large room with none other than Robin himself beating on a training dummy. The traffic light is surprisingly not dressed in his usual attire, instead he is dressed in a plain white guy, mask still on, repeatedly hitting the training post. He must be thinking of someone to hit a lot, hope it's not me. Naruto thinks to himself as he watches for a few minutes, analyzing the boy blunder as he runs through the same series of lightning quick punches and kicks with deadly accuracy. When the kid stops for a break, panting and sweating, Naruto starts to clap his hands slowly yet loudly. Not bad, man, not bad at all. Robin looks towards the new voice, only to see a blonde kid in a pair of black khakis, black combat boots, black fingerless gloves with the metal plates on the backs of his fists, a red t-shirt, and a dark brown flak jacket, and a green and white bucket hat resting on top of his head to shadow his eyes. Thanks, I'm still trying to get it to the right speed, he says, while also wiping the sweat from his brow. Look pretty damn fast to me. Naruto replies, placing his bag down and walking towards a fridge in the far corner. Though truly well it was pretty damn fast, Lee would have smoked Robin, and possibly taken his head off, if he took off his weights. Reaching into the fridge he takes out a bottle of water, and tosses it over to the masked teen. Robin catches the bottle, and gives the blonde a quick thanks, before taking a drink of it to cool off. It's not fast enough. You see, the problem with that combo is that most of it is pure power, power I don't quite have yet. Robin says while looking at his arms with a frown, obviously meaning his muscular power, but still this causes Naruto to cast him a slight glare. What would you do with that power, if you had it? He asks, earning a quizzical look from the masked teen a few feet away. What do you mean? Naruto gives a small laugh before continuing. I've had friends who have wanted power for many reasons, they always want it, but never really thought of what they'd do with it. Me, I could have a lot of power for myself, but I learned something that makes me want power less and less. Naruto explained simply, and saw Robin raise a brow. What did you learn? Robin questioned and Naruto looked up his old memories, came back to the surface of a young man who showed him the meaning of true power. A lesson an old friend of mine taught me. I'll spare you the long, boring version that Haka used. What I'm asking you is, will you use your power wisely, and protect those closest to you, or will you abuse your power and use it only for yourself and your own ambitions? As Naruto finishes, understanding appears in the bird boy's eyes upon hearing this. I'd protect my friends, the city, and those that are closest to me. He states, voice not even wavering a bit and causing a smirk to cross over the blonde-haired boy's lips. Great. Remember, with great power come great responsibility. I only have a single question. Naruto says while walking over to his bag and picking it back up. What? Robin asks, standing to turn back to his training post, intent on continuing. Do you own this place or something? Naruto asks, trying not to sound stupid. Robin gives him a smile and a shake of the head. No. The guy who does lets me train here for free seeing as I always save the city. He replies waving as the blonde teen leaves, only to remember something. Hey, what's your? But before he could ask the blonde was gone. 3 days later. Naruto stood just outside Piano Pizza, at 9 o'clock okay, so he was a couple minutes late, but in his own defense, he did have to convince his team that crashing the party might get the Titans extra mad at them. By the looks of things, everyone knew was having a pretty good time, so he was glad he put in that extra work. There was loud music playing, cheers, yells and even some laughing. With a cocky smirk over his face, Naruto walks in and heads for the front desk. Sitting there is the same girl that first gave him a tour of the city. She looks up as he approaches and actually seems surprised upon seeing the blonde-haired teen. Can I help you? She asks, obviously bored and wanting to join the party out on the veranda. Yeah, I'm here for the party. He tells her with a wave, completely calm. She nods her head and motions him through the door. He thanks her and walks through, only to be immediately caught by Beast Boy. Hey, you actually made it. He shouts, nobody really noticing the green gestures yelling. Hey, before you go find Raven, there are a few people I need you to meet. Obviously, the green teen was a little too enthusiastic. He leads him over to a table, where a group of local high school kids are sitting and eating pizza. Naruto stops in his tracks as he recognizes two of the girls sitting there surrounded by boys. One had bright pink hair and jade green eyes. The other had dark pupilless blue eyes and long platinum blonde hair. It was none other than Ino Yamanka and Sakura Haruno, though the schoolgirl uniforms were really something. Whoa, Jiraiya thought. Naruto thought to himself, while quickly turning away, obviously trying to hide himself from them. Actually, I think I'll just go and find Raven. He says, confusing Beast Boy as he walks away very quickly seemingly trying to avoid the table like it held the plague. Shrugging his shoulders, Beast Boy grins and heads on over to the high school kids to try and convince the pretty blonde, who looked eerily like Tear, to go on a date with him. Naruto however walks around for a few minutes, before he finally spots Raven in the corner edge of the veranda, looking out over the streets with a dull look to her eyes. Smirking to himself, he silently walks over behind her and smiles. You're not joining the party. Surprise, Raven turns around to see none other than the blonde teen that has been on her mind for the past several days, had appeared once more. He was dressed the same as when she first met him, metal-plated gloves and all, except for the flak jacket. What surprised her even more was the fact that he had somehow known she was here, and that he had managed to sneak up on her. What are you doing here? She asks in a monotone as usual while crossing her arms over her chest and wondering if he's some kind of stalker. Well, I heard you guys were throwing a party, and just decided to drop by. Thought you could use some company. Naruto says with a simple smile and leaning against the veranda. Raven, arms still crossed, gives him a suspicious look, before asking him a question. Did Beast Boy ask you to come? She asks, somehow unable to get past the ironclad defenses surrounding his mind. How's his mind defended like this? Naruto himself is sweating a little. While still knowing she is unable to read his mind because of Kyuubi's meddling, she can obviously see signs like the thin coating of sweat on his throat and the subtle changes in his stance. No? Just thought it would be kind of cool if I met the rest of your team. He says, trying to hide the truth. Apparently, Raven buys it. With a shrug of her shoulder and sweep of her cloak, she turns to look back at the city. Naruto walks up beside her, also looking out at the city lights. So, why are you even trying to enjoy the party? He asks her, slipping his hands into his pockets. Raven looks at him before giving the only explanation she can give him, which is ironically the truth. I don't socialize easily. I never have. I was raised in a temple by a group of monks. I spent all of my time either training or studying. Other kids didn't let me play with them. They called me ghost girl and other things, said I was hunting the temple or something. The adults seldom even let me near their kids anyways, called me other things I'd rather not mention. Raven explained and didn't see Naruto's eye flash crimson for a second before they returned back to normal. I guess that, whenever we go to parties, that fear of being hated still follows me, besides I'm not really all that pretty. She explains then says, showing Naruto that they had similar childhoods. He looks at her beautifully pale skin, deep violet eyes, silky dark hair, and smiles. She's pretty, gorgeous actually, maybe she just needs someone to actually tell her that. You know, the thing my father did, he was actually considered a hero for it. Naruto said suddenly, and Raven looked at him strangely. But for the same thing, I was beaten, shunned, and picked on. Everyone called me all kinds of names, and I always had this fear that I would never be truly accepted unless I made something great of myself. Naruto explained while keeping some things to himself. Wouldn't do to take away all the mystery after all. I held on to that hope for so long, that when that future was taken from me, when everything I thought I had turned out to be nothing more than a lie, I ran away. Then, I ended up here, and I found that it didn't matter what I did, I would always be seen as somewhat of an outcast. As Naruto tells her this and as she looks up at him, a slow song comes over the speakers, Tiny Dancer by Elton John. With a smile, Naruto quickly takes hold of her hand. Come on. Dance with me. He says, leading her over to the dance floor. I don't really know how to dance. Raven says while also trying to tell him she doesn't want to. With a smile, he puts a hand gently on her shoulder. Then I'll show you how. He tells her, but still she tries to leave the edge of the dance floor, but his hand on her shoulder holds her still. Then, the next thing he says pulls her attention back to him. Don't you trust me? He asks, holding out his hand as she turns around. And the strangest thing is, for some reason even she doesn't fully understand she does trust him. She doesn't know why, but she feels more calm and happy around him than anybody else from either side. Yes, I do. She says slowly before taking his hand as he wraps it and her other hand around his neck and put his other hand onto her hip. They start to move in a very slow circle, almost completely absorbed into each other's eyes. I could get used to this, it's nice and calm. Naruto thinks with a slight smile, Raven's thoughts mirroring his as they calmly sway with the music, at least until a shrill shout shoots over the music. "Ino pig, get back here." Sakura yells playfully as the platinum blonde runs away from her, carrying a large cup of coke. "Never." Ino shouts back to the pinkeet, only to stop running, before she suddenly meets eyes with a familiar blonde wearing a flak jacket and a bucket hat. I'd know those eyes anywhere. Naruto. Then she notices he's dancing with Raven of all people. Holy shit. Doesn't he know who she is? As this thought runs through her head, and as the song ends, Sakura appears beside her, following her line of sight until she too sees one Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto. Why is he dancing with emo girl? She says to inner Sakura, only for her inner persona to start shouting about a slut of the goths stealing her man. Back with Naruto and Raven, the blonde ninja himself has stopped moving, and has made eye contact with the two girls. Raven follows his line of sight, and sees the way the three ninja are glaring at each other. Naruto, do you know those two? She asks, only for him to shake his head and start to speak, but he is cut off when a voice came over the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, starting now, we are going to have karaoke for $1 song. Now, if any of you wish to come up here and sing a song, come on up. Nobody moves. Then, Naruto raises his hand and walks towards the stage. I'll sing. He says simply, before jumping up and onto the stage. As Naruto gets up on stage, and hands the man $3 out of his pocket, the man asks him his name. Naruto. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. But for tonight, just call me the Kyuubi no Kitsune. He says loudly into the microphone, and immediately, Raven, Ino, and Sakura head for the edge of the stage, wondering what he would do now. As Naruto picks out 3 songs, he speaks into the microphone again. Also, if Yumenka Ino and Haruno Sakura are here at this party, which I know they are, then I would appreciate it if they listen to the words of an old friend one last time. After that, the music starts out with an ascending guitar sound followed by drums, and a bit of rough picking over the speakers as Naruto starts to sing. It's all the same, only the names have changed. Every day, it seems we're wasting away. Another place, where the faces are so cold. I drive all night, just to get back home. Here, Naruto raises his fist slightly with eyes closed, and head tilted up a bit. His voice itself is haunting to the 3 girls, spelling out his current predicament. I'm a cowboy, on a steel horse I ride. I'm wanted, dead or alive. Wanted, dead or alive. The guitar plays the same tune over the speakers, but this time getting louder, and just a little faster. Sometimes I sleep, sometimes just not for days. And the people I meet always go their separate ways. Sometimes you tell the days, by the bottle that you drink. Sometimes when you're alone, all you do is think. These words hit everyone a little hard. For some people, it's because they know the song, but have never seen anybody sing it with such emotion. For the three, that now this blonde, they can tell exactly what he's talking about. I'm a cowboy, on a steel horse I ride, I'm wanted, wanted, dead or alive. Wanted, wanted, dead or alive. Oh, and I ride. After that slight yell, the guitar solo starts over the speakers, as Naruto himself bobs his low-hung head to the very erratic sounds of the stringed instrument. Oh, and I'm a cowboy, and I'm wanted dead or alive. And I walk these streets, a loaded six-string on my back. I play it for keeps, cause I might not make it back. I've been everywhere, still I'm standing tall, I've seen a million faces, and I've rocked them all. At this point Naruto still has his eyes closed, and is leaning back a little bit, before picking up the mic stand, and then slamming it back, bass down, and continuing. Cause I'm a cowboy, on a steel horse I ride, and I'm wanted dead or alive. As the song ends, everyone claps, only for another song to start. This one with light drum and cymbals, before leading into a quick note with the guitar, at which point Naruto bangs his head with it. Every time the song does this, he does the same. Then, as the song builds to a beginning, crescendo, he shouts, "Yeah." The music continues with an alternative sound, including a heavy background accompaniment of a guitar, bass, and drums. Then, as the Naruto kicks the mic stand to the side and takes the mic in hand, he starts to sing. I know what darkness means. And the void you left for me. The isolation stings. So I think it wants to bleed. The echoes in my brain. Of the things you said to me. You took my everything. Now I'm coming for you. Naruto shouts the final part, banging his head again, and the continuing. I won't back down. I will not bow. I've come to bring you hell. And I can't forget the things you did. I've come to bring you hell. Hirino and Sakura start to get a bit scared at what he's saying. They clearly get the message. The only thing they can really do is try to talk to him calmly. He starts to sing again. This time, he's glaring directly at the two of them, who are standing right next to Raven. The shadows that you see, in the places that you sleep, are memories of me. You better pray your soul to keep the truth behind your eyes. You know that place you ever see. Your darkest little lies are coming for you. Naruto shouts again. Raven can obviously tell that he does know the two girls next to her. She would have to find out about this. Moreover, he seems to be royally pissed at the two of them for some reason. She sighs as he starts on the chorus again. I won't back down. I will not bow. I've come to bring you hell. And I can't forget the things you did. I've come to bring you hell. All the scars that will not heal, all the wounds that will not seal. I will not forget the day these memories never fall. Naruto keeps singing with a lot of emotion, as the song goes into a quick solo with the guitar, before he finishes the song with a repeat of the chorus, and ending with a single phrase. I've come to bring you hell. Then, the next song begins, going completely alternative with a very heavy combination of drums, bass, and guitar. Then Naruto starts to sing once more. Circling you head, contemplating everything you ever said. Now I see the truth, I got it out. A different motive in your eyes and now I'm out. See you later. I see your fantasy, you want to make it a reality, paved in gold sea inside of our heads. Yeah, well, now that's over. I see your motive inside, decisions to hide. At the end of this opening, he jumps up, and then leaps over as he hits the ground, head hanging over the teens that had been partying and dancing harder than before, since the beginning of the second song. Back off, I'll take you on. Headstrong, I'll take on anyone. I know that you are wrong. Headstrong, we're headstrong. Back off, I'll take you on, headstrong to take on anyone. I know that you are wrong, and this is not where you belong. I can't give everything away. I won't give everything away. As Naruto finishes the first chorus, Ino and Sakura get it into their heads that Naruto is only bluffing about taking them all on, while Naruto himself is fairly confident he could take them all on. After all, he never used Sage Mode to fight them before. With a look and a nod to each other, Sakura and Ino agree to put his words to the test after he leaves. Conclusions manifest. First impressions got to be your very best. I see you're full of shit, and that's alright. That's how you play. I guess you'll get through every night. Well, now that's over. I see your fantasy. You want to make it a reality. Paved in gold, see inside of our heads. Well, now that over. I see your motives inside, decisions to hide. With a few more continuations of the chorus, Naruto finishes the song, and, breathing heavily, looks up, blinking when some call for an encore, and looks to the manager. Oh, what the hell, go ahead kid, give him one for the road. He says to Naruto with a grin, which Naruto returns and looks for a song, before grinning as he finds one he likes. As he picks it, a slow song seems to start with a strange kind of techno beat to it. It starts with, one thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try, keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme, to explain in due time. Naruto sang while thinking of the ninjas searching for him, standing under the lights and looking down on the Konohinin coldly. Both Ino and Sakura looked to one another briefly, wondering what the blonde was doing now. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock ticks life away. It's so unreal. The blonde sang out before taking a breath of air to continue. Didn't look out below. Watched the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on. But didn't even know. Wasted it all just to watch you go. Naruto sang out loud, thinking of how he found Sakura and Sasuke together before he left them that day. How he had wasted all those years of trying to get Sakura, only for him to toss him away at the first chance she got. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried so hard, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard. Naruto sang out before taking a quick breath and going on, knowing he'd also forget about his old home and former love for himself. I tried so hard and got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. Naruto sang out loudly, while moving animatedly over the stage, a grin crossing his lips as that part reminded him of how he had to betray Konoha in order to lose his feelings for Sakura. Then again, it didn't matter anymore. One thing, I don't know why. Does it even matter how hard you try? Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. Naruto sang in a slightly softer voice, with his shadowed eyes glaring out towards a slightly frightened Sakura and Ino. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was a part of your property, remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so far. Naruto sang out softly while thinking of how Sakura would hit and yell at him all the time, even after he saved her numerous times. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me. In the end. Naruto called out loudly, rearing his head back as he remembered how he wasn't Naruto Uzumaki, the kid who had a crush on her, and always forgave her. No, he was someone else, someone who wouldn't forgive her, or even think of her that way ever again. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard. I tried so hard and got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. The blonde called out, walking across the stage, then pointing directly at Sakura with a frown nearly visible on his face, if looked at from the front row of people. I put my trust in you. Pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. Naruto sang out softly, thinking of everything he'd ever done for the girl, before a snarl made its way to his face, and he clenched his outstretched hand into a fist. I put my trust in you. Pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. Naruto called out in a much harsher voice, remembering what he got for all that work, namely her cheating on him with Sasuke. As he did, the blonde slowly brought his arm to his side, and sent it up above his head as he finished the song. I tried so hard, and got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. Naruto finished loudly before slowly his head lowered as the ending part of the song played, a single blood-red eye with a slit pupil, glowing from the shadows of his hat, and over to Sakura's field of vision. As it did and the crowd cheered and clapped, the nin ignored the noise, only to see a predatory grin form over the blonde's lips, creeping out both Sakura and Ino, neither of whom ever saw that look on the blonde before. As soon as he is finished with his glare to both Sakura and Ino, the blonde boy gives a grand bow to the cheering teens below. Quickly retrieving the mic stand and replacing both it and the mic, Naruto then jumps down from the stage, and finds Beast Boy immediately in front of him. Dude. That was so totally awesome. Beast Boy calls out and Naruto shrugs before inching over to Raven, who gives him a look. You don't seem to like those two girls much, she said flatly, and Naruto twitched only once, before giving a shrug. What can I say, they piss me off. Naruto offered with a semi-sly look, and Robin and the others also came over, Robin blinking then smirking upon seeing who the blonde he'd met a couple days ago was. So you're Raven's mysterious new friend, you could have said something. Rob joked and Naruto blinked, then chuckled lightly. Where's the fun in that? Naruto questioned and saw Robin roll his eyes, while Cyborg patted the blonde on the shoulder. Man, that was pretty damn good. I haven't heard anyone sing those songs with that much emotion save, well, the guys who wrote them. Cyborg says, and Naruto scoffs before having a death hug from Star and inwardly groans. Hello friend of friend Raven. I am Starfire, and I am so happy to meet you. Starfire calls out happily, and Naruto twitches, while trying to get out of the happy red-haired alien's grasp, and Raven takes pity on him. He needs to breath Starfire. She offers and Star drops the blonde with a gasp. Oh, I am so sorry friend, I am sometimes forgetting my own strength. Starfire says to the blonde quickly, and Naruto gives her a pained grin. Damn, Lee's the only person who has ever hugged me that hard, but thankfully that was much more pleasant than the ones from Lee, hee. Naruto thought to himself, then leaned over to Raven. I think your friends like me. He quipped and Raven rolled her eyes, smirking slightly despite herself. They just don't know you well yet, she said simply, and Naruto chuckled. Neither do you, Karasu-chan. He replied, and Raven looked at him oddly for the nickname, as it seemed to becoming more common for some reason. Dude. You speak Japanese? Beast Boy asked excitedly, and Naruto nodded his head. Cool. Then do you know what the kuro means? Beast Boy asked, and Naruto blinked before scratching his head and wondering why the green jester was asking. Skull. He said simply, and Beast Boy nodded his head, before turning to his large titanium-plated friend. Told you that was why the kuro's called that in Cyborg Shinobi Showdown Cyborg. Beast Boy stated, and Cyborg crossed his arms. Does cause the dude wore skull mask don't mean that's why his name was Dekuro. Cyborg stated, and Naruto decided to add his own 2 cents into the conversation. Actually, if you're talking about shinobi then it does. Shinobi tended to use codenames based on animals for missions with masks to go with them. The skull mask would actually go well with a high-level assassination shinobi. Naruto explained, and Raven gave him a strange look. You know a lot about ninja. She said flatly, and Naruto rubbed the back of his neck nervously. I had a little ninjutsu training back home and did a little research on past ninja and their habits. He said with a shrug, and Robin blinked before looking intrigued. Really? Cool. One of my teachers taught me a form of it, but he more conformed to the samurai code of Bushido than the ninja's kill or be killed methods. Robin explained, and a frown crossed over Naruto's lips. He seemed to forget that samurai were often very brutal, while ninja were a bit more covert. Samurai would brutally punish anyone for even the smallest infraction to their honor, while ninja could care less about personal honor, and more for the well-being of the country they protected. Ninja lived in the shadows in order to serve a lord of some form. They would kill, they would steal, and they would spy in order to protect their home and country. That was the way of the shinobi. Samurai were all well-known, all rich, and all pompous sticks as apples to shinobi. Naruto explained, and saw Robin cup his chin, while the other titans looked at both confused. Dude, I don't even know what you two are talking about anymore. Beast Boy said flatly, and both boys looked at him, then one another, and shrugged. Yeah, well, I still think you knowing ninjutsu is cool. Maybe we could spar sometime if you're free. Robin offered, and Naruto shrugged before covertly looking around, and noting Sakura and Ino were leaning against a wall glaring at him. Maybe, but I really better get home. My roommates get really angry when I'm out for too long. Naruto said while saying goodbye to the titans and taking his leave. Raven, watching him leave, narrowed her eyes and discreetly followed him, seeing the 2 girls from before following him. Naruto himself is walking down the street before quickly turning into a dark alley, knowing that his 2 academy classmates are definitely behind him. Naruto. He stops with a smirk hearing this and slowly turns around and sees Sakura and Ino standing behind him. His smirk widens as they walk towards him, both with absolutely livid expressions on their faces. Can I help you ladies with anything? He asks while stuffing his hands into his pockets again. At hearing the blonde's words, Ino twitches once, before trying to smack him, only for the other blonde to dodge with a smirk while she puts her hands on her hips. Don't even try to act innocent. You broke up with Sakura, attacked Sasuke, failed, left the village, dragged us here, and now you just publicly insulted us. She yells, getting a very hearty laugh from her fellow blonde. Is that what the bitch next to you said? And well, I did publicly humiliate someone. Let me tell you the truth about what's going on here. He starts, only for Sakura to lunge at him, fists flying. He catches her arm, and bends it behind her back, holding her immobile. Not now, Sakura. I'm telling Ino-chan, here's why I left. I left because the village didn't need its big hero anymore. Hell, no one wanted me there in the first place. Your Hokage Tsunade never bothered to tell me about numerous inheritances I was supposed to get. The council tried to steal those as well. Naruto said angrily while Ino looked at him in shock. Obviously none of them knew the facts of why he left, and right now felt like a good time to enlighten them. And before I forget, I also left because I caught this pink-haired little harlot, who was supposed to be my girlfriend at the time, cheating on me with Sasuke, my supposed brother, without thought or care of me. He says before pulling on Sakura's arm a little, making her grimace in pain. So, I took the scrolls and clan items that were rightfully mine in the first fucking place, and I left the commie-forsaken shithole behind me. After that, he let go of the girl's arm, shoving her forward to Ino as he makes a quick decision. What do you say, we all get together, and fight it out? No restrictions. No rules. If I win you back off for a while, you won't bother me, and I won't bother looking for your asses. You win, and I come along quietly. Ino gives him a look as she helps Sakura with her arm. Inwardly, however, she figures with all of them, it would be a cinch to take Naruto down, thus ending this charade of a mission at last. Just say when, asshole. She finally responds, flipping him the bird with one hand, and pulling her eyelid down with her tongue out with the other. Naruto just chuckles, before giving them a location and time. After that, the 2 girls walk back into the party. Naruto turns, only for a wall of black energy to get in the way. He smiles before turning around and spotting none other than the Dark Titan herself behind him, outstretched hand glowing with the same black energy. Hey Karasu-chan. How much of that did you hear exactly? He asks the girl with a sheepish grin and rubbing the back of his neck, only for the energy behind him to wrap itself around his body, holding him in place. Aw crap. He mutters to himself while Raven walks towards him, still holding the energy in place. Everything. she says, hand clenching into a fist as the black substance holds him tighter. However, suddenly it disappears, almost seeming to be drawn into his stomach somehow. This alone surprises her, as she's never seen anything actually start absorbing her energy without some kind of ill effect. Okay, that was new, Naruto murmured, though decided not to look a gift horse in the mouth while brushing himself off. That conversation is something I would prefer if you kept to yourself. Now if you don't mind, I have to go get ready, he tells her, walking away. Raven stands there, a puzzled and quizzical look on her face. Just who are you, Naruto Uzumaki? She wondered to herself with a frown, before teleporting back to the tower. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.